Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister and refusing to send her money even though she had good intentions? My wife Belle and I have a beautiful, almost 3-year-old daughter. Though her arrival was unexpected, I'm so thankful for her. My sister Cindy has never been fond of Belle. Her rational dislike of my wife has only exacerbated when she announced that she was pregnant. Belle was never good enough. Belle was irresponsible and obsessed with herself for working out during her pregnancy. She's a terrible mother for not quitting her job the moment she found out she was pregnant, etc. I've shut all of it down over the years, and I've got contact with her significantly. One thing my wife and I agreed to not do is talk to our daughter with that high-pitched baby voice many people use to talk to children. We talk to her as if she was a normal human being. We don't talk to her with that goo-goo-gaga voice. We never have and never will. We also let our daughter, to a reasonable extent, pick her own clothes. And since she's at the stage where she wants to be independent, we will try to encourage that as much as possible. My wife is half Korean and half Ethiopian, so often she will mix a few non-English words when she's talking to our daughter. Unfortunately, Cindy can't make rent and has been living with us for the past 2 weeks. Belle's idea: I wouldn't have let her stay in my house because of her continued disrespect of my wife. Cindy was, surprisingly, very kind towards my wife. It was very nice to see Cindy's change of heart, until she wasn't. Cindy started to make a big fuss about how my wife was talking to our daughter as if she was an adult, and how Belle was a cruel parent for teaching our daughter how to use chopsticks so young. The Edison chopsticks meant for children. My daughter was helping my wife cook. My wife let her hold the pot while she was draining the rice water, and my sister called my mom. She began to make threats of calling child services as my wife was a horrific child abuser. My mom, who hasn't seen my daughter in a year, got upset. I tried to get my sister to talk, but she was unwilling, so I kicked her out. Now the whole family is mad at us, claiming that Cindy had good intentions and that we should let her back. My wife is feeling very guilty with everything and wants to send my sister some money. Edit: a few people have had concerns over whether my daughter's hands were touching a hot pot. No, they were rinsing the rice before they cooked it, so the pot nor the water was hot. Now for the top comments. Not Dayhall. Your wife is a wonderful woman with a kind and forgiving heart. But Cindy, despite being given second chances, has flown her true colors without remorse. She's set in her ways/opinions and won't change. Perhaps the whole family can house Cindy rather than you and your family, since they seem so sympathetic to her. You and your wife did your part and made a solid effort to make it work. You don't owe Cindy anything. Cindy should focus her attention on self-sufficiency rather than how you and your wife raise your child. Which, by the way, how awesome your daughter is using chopsticks, learning second languages and cooking. She's got more life skills at the age of 3 than Cindy from the sounds of things. My wife has so much patience. It's insane how she kept up with this. There's probably so much that has happened while I was at work that my wife isn't telling me. Please, please, please do not send Cindy money. That will just assure her that she can say and do whatever she wants with no consequences. Your sister is a racist. Let's be real. And sexist by expecting pregnant women to quit their jobs. And uneducated for expecting them to stop exercising. Well, there is a point at which certain exercise is bad. Consult your doctor. Everybody's different. For most of the pregnancy, exercise is good. It helps your body stay healthy. And fun fact, endorphins are awesome. Say 10 over 10 fetuses, they love them. Not Dayhall. Your sister needs to learn boundaries. It's none of her business how you guys parent your kid unless there is mistreatment involved, which there isn't. Your daughter literally held a pot. There is no good intention in making child services threats on a loving mother. Thank you for stepping up for your wife. You'd be surprised of how many people don't stick up for their significant other. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister out after finding her in mine in my husband's bedroom? I, female 26, lost my husband in an accident 2 months ago. It wasn't his fault. He wasn't even driving. He was going with a friend to visit their sick friend, and the journey was hours long. My husband's friend was driving late at night, and it resulted in a horrific accident. My husband was in the hospital for a week severely injured and passed away on Friday morning. I was an utter mess. I was and still am devastated and cannot believe how fast days go by. My parents support me a lot. I was spending my days alone at my apartment. My parents told me they sent my sister, female 21, to stay with me and help around the apartment. I welcomed her and was glad she came. She'd occasionally invite her boyfriend to my apartment since she's there all the time. Her boyfriend started acting like it's their place by moving stuff, throwing away stuff. I talked to them about it. I also said I wouldn't let him stay the night anymore because I need some calm and quiet to be able to sleep. It usually stays up till 5 a.m. making noise. My sister didn't argue. However, yesterday I went to see a friend for a few hours, and when I got back, I didn't find my sister, thinking she went out. Suddenly, her boyfriend walks out of my bedroom, and I freaked out asking why he was there. My sister showed up asking why I got home so early. I loudly asked them why they were in mine and my husband's bedroom. Suddenly, my sister said they borrowed it for an hour to get some privacy, since I had a key and might have walked in and saw something. My apartment is a single-bedroom apartment. I was in shock. I checked the room and the bed looked like someone used it. I completely lost my temper yelling at her and her boyfriend. I kicked him out and me and my sister started arguing. She called me irrational, acting out of grief and taking my frustrations out on her. I told her to leave if she wasn't willing to respect mine and my husband's private place, and that she should have never walked in it. After that, I kicked her out. My mom came to see what was going on. She defended my sister and blamed her boyfriend, saying I had every right to kick him out, but my sister took the time and came to stay with me to support and help, and I was wrong to treat her like this, saying that's how kids are, and didn't know that it upset me this much. My dad agreed I overreacted and wanted me to talk things out with her, but I refused to do it. Not Dayhall. Oh my god, your sister and her boyfriend were having intercourse in the bed you shared with your recently deceased husband. There comes a point where help becomes a hindrance. Your sister has passed that point. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. And you're right. I just never thought she'd do anything like that. To be honest, my mom said it was her boyfriend's suggestion after she talked to my sister about it. Either way, this is not acceptable to me. I appreciate the help and support, but the bedroom was a mess. The bed was a mess. I haven't washed the sheets ever since my husband's passing. They used to help me sleep at night because the smell was on them. It was incredibly noticeable. I can't explain it, but it definitely made me feel like he was there. But now I can't even look at the bed because of how angry I am. I doubt I'll be seeing my sister anytime soon after this. I'm so sorry. I would not find this forgivable either, if it were me. It's just so violating. Even without your recent trauma, it's gross and violating. Not Dayhall. Jesus. Opie, I am so sorry for your loss. Your sister has a complete and utter lack of sympathy and self-awareness, especially with a loss so recent. Being kind doesn't give you a free pass to being kind. That's not how it works. That's how kids are. No, they're not. And your sister is 21 years old, not a child. I wish you all the best and hope you have a support structure outside of your family. Even if she didn't have recent loss, it's still not okay to just go do it in someone's bed. Not Dayhall. Not Dayhall. This is the kind of help we all can do without. It makes me sick, just thinking about what they did. How inhuman, entitled, and out of touch do you have to be to do it in a grieving widow's bed? I couldn't bear to look at the people again if it were me. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for this. I'm so sorry for your loss. You deserve peace and quiet right now. Take it and block the sources of stress. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my grandparents I don't give a crap about what they want? My dad cheated on my mom with my aunt/mom's sister, and now they're married. It's been 2 years since the world crashed around my family. My mom and dad had been married for 20 years. I was in my final year of high school and had all that to deal with. My cousin Jay really struggled a lot with it. It was always just him and his mom. And no, he's not my half-sibling. And yes, I know for certain because he's biracial. And he was very close to my mom and our family. And now, while nothing has changed between him and my mom, the people he had in our family around him his whole life are never going to be in the same room again. I cut my dad and aunt off after the whole thing came out. They resisted and really tried to make their argument that they had done nothing to me. But what they did disgusts me, and I think they are both nasty people. My grandparents, dads, have not accepted that I am now estranged from their son. They have tried to push me to have a relationship with him again for almost a year now. I ignored mostly. I have told them no as clear as possible, and after that, I just avoid or sidestep the conversation. This past weekend was my grandma's birthday, and while I dropped off a gift to her, they really laid on a guilt trip about not talking to my dad, and how it hurt their feelings, and they would be happy if I could forgive him and move forward as a family, etc. I told them my feelings had not changed. They told me to consider putting their feelings first, since they love us all, and they want their family back. I told them I didn't give a crap about their feelings or what they want. Their son is the reason all this happened, so they should be giving him crap for how this all worked out. They told me I was rude and disrespectful and plain mean to them, and it wasn't their fault what happened, and I should be more considerate of them. I feel like they pushed way too many lines and deserve to be told the truth. But do you all think I was an a-hole for what I said? Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. Why are their feelings more important than yours? When people push you, you reach a certain point where you have to say no more. You may have been harsh, but that's okay. Perhaps next time, if there is one, I hope you should ask them that. I suspect they'd have difficulty answering. I bet that they wouldn't have difficulty answering though. They will most likely pull the "we are your grandparents, so you should respect us and do things we want" card. Not a-hole. If they want their family back, they should ask their son why the family is gone. Imagine blaming the kid for their completely justified reaction to the bomb a parent exploded within their life. A great reminder that people of all ages can suck donkey. Not a-hole. They weren't listening and would haven't possibly still will try again. Your feelings are valid and they can try and push what happened aside. I hope things get better for you. Not a-hole. They're correct. It wasn't their fault, but it's also not your fault. However, they are trying to make you responsible for fixing things right in order to make them happy, while dismissing your feelings. You told them multiple times, in no uncertain terms, how you felt, but they continued to push until you felt you had no choice but to be very blunt with them. You have done nothing wrong. I'm so sorry this happened to you. Good luck. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for moving out and not wanting to be a third parent / babysitter? For context, I'm 20 female. I'm due to finish my last year of uni in June. I have been doing classes and everything online since I moved back into my parents in April 2020. It's honestly been mentally and physically draining since my sister, 16 female, was diagnosed with a minor mental health disorder last year, and my conservative Asian parents have been freaking out. And instead of really helping her, they've been allowing her to do anything and everything. Because their logic is that if she only does things she wants is equal to she's cured. Don't worry, she has counseling and government-funded therapy. This is resulting into my sister never going to school and only playing video games in her room with food being brought up to her 3 times a day. And even if she swears and talks back to them, they just brush it off and condone everything that she does. As I am constantly home for classes and currently stressed out by finals, I am still expected to do most of the chores as well as taking care of a new puppy who needs constant attention. On top of this, my parents expect me to constantly check up on my sister, expecting me to drop everything whenever she needs something, whether this be something minor like a glass of water. And if I don't, they give me lectures on how my sister is the closest family I'll have after they're gone, and how awful of a sister I am. So I am unable to do any work, nor focus, as I am basically a live-in on-call 24/7 maid. I suppose my parents thought when I moved back in due to the pandemic it was for good, but I am planning on moving out as soon as my exams are over, which they think is very selfish of me, as they will now be stuck with a lot of duties, and how I'm abandoning family. I plan to do further study, and I really want my independence and sanity back. Not sure if relevant, but when I was around my sister's age, I approached my parents about my mental health issues, and they basically told me to get over it. But I was fortunate to use my uni's therapy services to get by. Hence, I'm wondering whether I am an a-hole for moving out and possibly holding a grudge for how they treated me, instead of sucking it up and try to be more understandable about my sister's situation and my parents' inability to cope? Thanks. Not an a-hole. Get out of that house. She's not your responsibility. Don't hold a grudge for your sake. But don't forget about how they treated you either. Not Dayhall. By making your sister dependent, they are likely making her mental illness significantly worse. Maybe when you move out and they actually have to do all the work, they'll start to actually help your sister live a functional life. Moving out might not just be good for you, it could be good for your sister. Not Dayhall. This dynamic is extremely unhealthy, and your parents are guilting you most likely as a tactic to maintain the parentified role they've given you. Your sister is plenty old enough to know what is healthy and productive in her life, but enjoys reaping the benefits of your parents' misunderstanding of her mental health issues and how to support her. You cannot solve these issues for her, and it's not your job to do so. Do not let your parents push the guilt of their failure onto you. They already have a pattern of favoritism toward your sister, and they clearly are not looking out for your best interests. Graduate and get out of there ASAP. You deserve your own freedom and autonomy. Edit. Thank you to everybody telling me I am not Nahal. I realize it's not my responsibility to take care of everything. My mom impulsively borrowed money behind my dad's back and decided to do a full-time online degree whilst working full-time. Meanwhile, my dad impulsively adopted a dog. I guess I just needed a little reassurance, as I do feel a bit guilty/ahol, considering it's normal for Asian children to move out only when they get married. But no worries, I'll be moving out in 41 days. Hopefully, this will benefit my sister a little and help her take on some more responsibility and have a reality check.
Mighty a-hole for leaving my mom's house and going to my dad's after fighting with my half-siblings about us not having the same dad. I, 16 male, have a different dad than my half-siblings, 14 male, 12 female, and 11 female. My mom is married to their dad, and the two of them act like I'm theirs. And like my dad is just some random dude I see every other week. They tried to downplay the fact that he is my dad and has 50% custody of me. I've told my mom before that they should cut it out, but she said I technically have two dads, and that her husband is better. She also said I should be grateful he was willing to take me on and claim me as his. He told me I don't get to call another man dad in his house, which ticks me off and makes me want to do things that wouldn't be good. My half-siblings know I live somewhere else every other week, but they treat it like it's totally normal for someone to be with a non-parent half the time. They always tell me that their dad lives there and that I shouldn't call someone else dad. I found photos of my dad holding me when I was born and showed them, but they still acted like it was wrong. When I was younger, because of how bad things were, I asked my dad if he was really my dad. He reassured me that he had no doubts, but I was so frustrated by everything that we did a DNA test. It proved he is my biological dad. I never told my mom or anyone in her family because she would lose it on my dad if she found out. But I know 100% he is my dad, not my half-sibling's dad. And being married to my mom doesn't give her husband the right to push my dad out. It's getting harder to stay calm when this stuff comes up at my mom's house. A couple of weeks ago, there was an incident that caused a lot of trouble. I was at my mom's house and my half-siblings wanted to do something for their dad's 40th birthday. They wanted me to buy a gift from all four of us, but I said no. They said he is our dad and deserves it, but I said no. He is not my dad. They called me a turd and made a huge deal out of me denying he is my dad. I told them they can't undo the fact that my dad is my dad in every single way. I told them I don't even like their stupid dad and to get the heck away from me. The youngest went to her room, but the other two stayed and said I was such a jerk and so mean and I should be better. My half-brother called me retarded and said I need to stop treating their dad like he's some random guy. He said their dad deserves better and told me they'd steal money from me if they had to. My half-sister said they were too young to work or have their own money and he deserved something. I said he'd get nothing and too bad, so sad. They wouldn't drop it and even try to force their way into my room. At that point, I snapped and told them to get the heck away from me. I said I didn't care about their dad, called him a giant territorial a-hole who can't accept that his wife had a kid before him, and said I'd rather be an orphan than be their dad's kid. Then I left the house and went to my dad's. He was shocked but helped me calm down. I refused to go back to my mom's after that. She called the police and they asked me if I'd come home. I said not willingly. Now my mom has filed in court, wanting my dad to lose custody for not making me go back. I'm also getting so much grief for leaving and for fighting with my half-siblings. When my mom found out why, she told me I need to be grateful for my real dad, meaning her husband. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your mom sounds like a real piece of work. You're 16. The court will take your preferences into consideration. Hopefully you can live with your dad full-time and get away from your mom, her toxic husband, and her awful bratty kids. Not the a-hole. Your mom and her family have been practicing what is known as parental alienation, trying to make you see your dad as less important than your stepdad. That's absolutely wrong. And if you tell the court exactly what's been going on, you won't have to return. Be sure to mention how many times you've asked them to stop denying your parentage, and the fact that your stepfather won't even let you call your own father dad. And OP, start writing down everything you remember happening ever with this. Dates, or at least general ideas of when, what they said or did, who was there, all of that. Not the a-hole. Your mom must be delusional, or she must have been cheating with her husband the whole time she was with your dad. If you really care what she thinks and prefer to stay with your dad full-time, send her this posting and let the games begin. I don't care what she thinks, but I still don't think it's a good idea for her to know about the DNA test either, and I mention it in my post. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepmother she was never important to me and telling my younger brother what she said? My dad and stepmother got married when I, 17 male, was 9. My brother, 15 male, was almost 7. Our mom had died 2 years before that. It happened quickly, but we managed to adjust. My dad always had a bad relationship with our mom's side of the family, and when she died, he tried to cut them off from us. However, our grandparents were granted visitation rights before he met our stepmother. When my dad and stepmother got married, it was obvious she didn't like the visitation arrangement. My dad and grandparents used an app where they could request specific days, and my dad had to approve at least 3 a month. That's how it always worked. We were frequently asked when we returned home if our grandparents had mentioned our stepmother or said anything mean about her. We always told them the truth. Our grandparents didn't talk about her at all and rarely mentioned our dad. When we visited, we did fun things and sometimes something to remember our mom. What my dad and stepmother imagined those visits to be like was entirely different from reality. Mother's Day was always a contentious time. My grandparents got Mother's Day the 2nd year after Mom died, just before Dad's wedding. They continued to request it every year. My dad and stepmother didn't like it. But when Dad asked if we'd rather spend that day with them instead of our grandparents, I said I liked being with Mom's family. My brother felt the same, so Dad approved it every year. My stepmother hated it. The app used for visitation has its own calendar, and once a day is approved, my dad can't reverse it unless my brother and I are sick. A while ago, Dad approved a date without realizing it was my stepmother's birthday. She was angry. While I was at my grandparents' house, which my dad and stepmother didn't know, she called and told them they had to give up the day because it was her birthday. They refused. She then went on a long rant, accusing them of acting entitled to time with us and claiming they didn't realize she was the most important woman in our lives. She even said she was equally, if not more, important than our mom ever was because we were so young when Mom died. She told my grandparents they were nothing, and that sooner or later, they'd realize she would always come before them in our lives. Her words enraged me. She had no idea I was there, or that I heard everything she said to my grandparents. When I got home, I started yelling at her, telling her I heard it all, and how awful it was for her to speak to my grandparents like that. I told her she was never important to me and would never come before them. I said she's not my mom. I never saw her as family, and if she and my dad ever divorced, I wouldn't stay in touch with her because she was never actually important, just someone who was there. When my brother got home from a friend's house, I told him what she said and he was furious too. When my dad got home and found out what happened, he told me to apologize. I refused. This led to therapy a couple of weeks ago because my dad and stepmother wanted me to apologize. and for my brother and me to stop being distant with her. They said it wasn't fair. In therapy, my brother told them she wasn't his mom either and said she wished Dad had never married her. He even said he hoped they'd get divorced because he didn't want to live with her anymore. My dad and stepmother are furious, especially because I told my brother about what she said. Dad accused me of ruining the relationship, saying I treated her badly, when all she was doing was explaining how she'd raised us and been part of our lives longer than our mom. He said I went nuclear on her and should have been more understanding. Am I the a-hole? I'm sorry. My heart goes out to you. Losing a parent is devastating, and having a stepmother treat you like this only makes it harder. You don't have to like her, but maybe try to find peace for your own sake. Not the a-hole. I have college plans in the works, but I might stay with my grandparents for the summer to get more space from my dad and stepmother. Not the a-hole. The fact that she asked you if they spoke badly of her is a huge clue as to how her mind works. She assumed they would trash talk her, because that's what she does and would do. Maybe mention in therapy that gossiping and putting others down because of insecurity is bad behavior, and that you have the right not to be dragged into petty, vicious gossip. You might have been able to develop a relationship with her if she had approached you with positivity and treated you as an individual person, rather than trying to make you into a spy in her childish crusade against your grandparents, whom you love and for whom you will fight since you want and need them in your life. Stepmom is a mean girl, and that's not pretty. Your dad forgot which day was your stepmother's birthday. Before she got on her high horse and lectured your grandparents, she should have reflected on that. I am so sorry your stepmother was extremely disrespectful to your grandparents. She has no compassion. How could she have said all that to someone who had lost their daughter? It's beyond me. Your dad is equally culpable in not standing up for both of you and watering down what she said to make it sound less hurtful. Not the a-hole. Ask your grandparents if you can move in with them when you turn 18. You've probably read enough Reddit posts to know what you need to do to get ready to move. Be there for your younger brother, because they will likely put more pressure on him once you move out. Yep, but she was looking for something to blame them for. I can tell from all the times she was a part of questioning what happened when we were with our grandparents. She was waiting for something she could use as an excuse to yell at them for. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing when my sister asked me to cut my hair short for her wedding? I'm a 23-year-old woman, and I have a long curly hair that reaches past my waist. I often get compliments because I take good care of my hair. It attracts attention wherever I go. My older sister, who by the way criticizes everything I do and makes subtle jabs and snide comments to put me down every time we've gathered together, has always said I keep my hair that way because I enjoy the attention. That's not true, but I try not to engage in petty arguments with her. I have a strained relationship with her, and we've had arguments because she thinks I always steal the attention away from her, even though I have always tried to accommodate her sensitivities. Now that it's her wedding, I had to change the dress I was planning on wearing for a second time because she thought it would steal the attention from the bride. Even though it was a blue dress, not a color close to white, I chose a simpler dress. Now she's demanding I cut my hair short because she thinks everyone will focus on me and my hair on her wedding day. I told her she's being unreasonable and that I'm not going to cut my hair short just because of her insecurities on her wedding day. She's now saying I'm not invited to her wedding unless I cut my hair to shoulder length. I told her I'm sorry to miss her wedding then. Am I in the wrong for refusing her request? Not the a-hole. What's funny is, your sister doesn't realize how much more attention such a drastic change to your hair would get from family than just leaving it as it has been for years. I'd suggest you be careful around her so she doesn't try cutting a chunk out of your hair herself. It is never reasonable for a bride or groom to request cutting or dyeing hair. Anyone who tells you to do as she wants simply doesn't want to deal with her drama. This is a good suggestion. She sounds insecure enough to have a go at her hair with scissors. Not the a-hole. She's no right to dictate your hair length. I wonder what more is going on here though. Like, are you extremely beautiful and she is ugly, or have your parents always favored you? This kind of obsession invariably has a cost. It's complicated, as are family dynamics. I think she's beautiful in her own right. I suspect she's resentful of me because I've had early financial success in my career as a visual artist, and my parents and family tend to talk about it a lot during gatherings. She feels overlooked, even though we always celebrate her accomplishments too. She thrives on external validation and always wants to be the center of attention. The hair thing is just another one of her complaints about me. Throughout the years, she's tried to tell me my hair doesn't look good long to get me to cut it short. I haven't been to a single wedding where all people could talk about was someone's hair that they've always had. Unless it's something completely out of character or obnoxious, no one is going to pay attention to your hair. They'll say, "I love your hair," and move on. But it's like these brides can't handle the idea of all the attention not being on them for even a millisecond. Not the a-hole. Exactly. I told her no one is going to pay attention to my hair when she's the one in the beautiful wedding gown. People are used to the way my hair looks. And she told me, but still, there will be relatives who will say your hair is beautiful. I don't want that at my wedding. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my son that family is more important than school? My son Damien, 14 male, takes school seriously. He wants to be the top of the class and have the highest grades, but can't. I often have to pull him out because he has to help out the family with various things. My husband and I are both disabled, and my papa, 88 male, who is on end-of-life care, lives with us. We usually ask him to help care for the house since my husband and I can't do it ourselves, to help care for his granddad, and to help his little siblings, 8 and 4 male, when we can't. Before anyone says it, no, we cannot afford to hire someone to help us, so we can only rely on each other. He's failing a few classes, and the school says he will either have to take them next year or do summer school to make them up. He's been crying about this and started lashing out when we make him stay home to help. Today was especially bad, and we ended up arguing. I told him that family is more important than school, and that his grades won't mean anything once he graduates and gets a job anyway. He says he wants to go to college, but I reminded him that we can't afford it. So how is he going to go without money? He's upset and neglecting his brothers, which is causing extra stress on my husband and me since we have to wrangle them and help my father. He is currently grounded, but I'm wondering if I'm being too harsh. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. You are abusing and neglecting your son. You cannot pull him out of school for stuff like this. It's not legal, and it's also not his responsibility as a child to care for adults or your other children. This is so sad. Please stop doing this to him. This situation is unfortunate, but it's not Damien's fault or responsibility, and you are abusing your authority as his parent to benefit yourself at his expense. You keep saying family is more important. Is Damien not family? Or does that sentiment not apply to him when you need something from him? What about when he can't pass to the next grade or get into the college he wants because you decided your needs and wants were more important? You are doing your son a great disservice and owe him changed behavior and an apology. You're the a-hole. Your son is not a babysitter, not an extra set of hands, not a parent. You can apply for assistance through whatever insurance your father has. Your insurance should also provide some home help aid for you and your husband if you are so disabled that you cannot care for your children. Also, if you cannot care for your children, why the heck did you take on your father too? I don't need you to reply, but there has to be other family that can help. I sincerely hope your son's school reports truancy, since you keep pulling him from school. You are selfish. Selfish to take on another adult you can't care for. Selfish to ask your son to parent your children. Selfish to put so much responsibility on a young person's shoulders. Selfish to destroy his future for the sake of your present. Do not be surprised when he goes low to no contact because when you need more help when you're older, it won't be the son who helps you. To your son, my family had no money for me to go to college. I supported myself, got my master's degree, and live very happily. It's a struggle, but I did it, and so can you.